doesn't have to be limited by the hassles of wearing glasses or contact lenses. Eye surgeon Dr. Rachel Gelman offers LASIK, a life-changing vision procedure. A comprehensive evaluation is performed before the LASIK procedure. Dr. Gelman then applies these precise calculations unique to your eye using state-of-the-art technology to give you the best possible vision. Affordable payment options are available. Call for an appointment with board-certified ophthalmologist Dr. Gelman, a specialist in cornea, cataract, and refractive surgery.
Hello, and welcome to Border to Border Live with Rudy Mireles. My name is Rudy. I have my dog, you can't really see her there, but Hannah, the German Shepherd's joining us this evening. It is 8 p.m. Rio Grande Valley Standard Time on this Tuesday, January 21st. The cold is here, not that it wasn't leading up to last night, but I hope all of you on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Live right now that are joining me are staying warm. We're going to talk weather today, obviously. Tips to be prepared in case we have another widespread power outages. I don't know if you heard, but nearly 20,000 folks across the valley lost power last night. 20,000 homes, customers. So that means more people lost power. But we'll talk about that. I'll let you know any tips to prepare for that. We'll also talk about when it's supposed to warm back up here in the valley. Spoiler alert. Hopefully by Friday. But first, real quick, Border to Border Live is brought to you by Gelman Vision. From LASIK to cataracts, board-certified cornea specialist Dr. Rachel Gelman will help you change the way you see the world. Call 956-302-1015 or visit gelmanvision.com today to schedule a consultation. And are you looking to buy or sell property in the Rio Grande Valley? Well, at Rio Grande Realty, we bring local experience and personalized service to every deal. So let me help you find your dream home or get the most out of your home's value. Call me today, 956-230-7733, or visit rudymireles.com to contact me. So let's get started with that forecast. And now this winter storm is being considered historic by a lot of folks. And that's because luckily most of the action is north of us. But up there, if you haven't seen places like Austin, San Antonio, Houston, now even Louisiana, are just getting snowed on. Here in the valley, we luckily mainly only got hit with freezing rain and, of course, that bone-chilling cold air. So first things first, a lot of the winter storm warnings and stuff like that for South Texas have been canceled. Still have a winter weather advisory in effect for Cameron County, but those winter storm warnings have been canceled because we're not expecting any more precipitation overnight. Luckily, all that has moved off the coast. We'll talk more about that in a second. But the big concern now, not that it wasn't a concern last night, is that cold, right? So a freeze warning is in effect for the entire region through mid-morning on Wednesday. We're talking lows possibly hitting 22 degrees in some spots, which means, as we've been talking about the last week, the 4 Ps, protecting them: pets, plants, pipes, and people. So it'll be another night of leaving the slow drip on your faucets and taps around the house. And with the wind sticking around, there is a cold weather advisory also in place, with feels like temperatures dropping into the teens. Now, speaking of the wind, a wind advisory is going to kick in at 3 a.m. tonight. Now, if you live in Hidalgo County, Inland Kennedy, or Willacy counties. That's going to last until noon tomorrow. If you live in Cameron and coastal areas of the valley, that's going to go until 3 p.m. You can expect gusts to get up to 40 miles per hour tomorrow, which is going to make things feel even worse. If you've ever had that lake effect, for any of our winter Texan friends watching, that lake effect cold, man, it ain't no joke. I lived in Michigan, in the middle of the state, and I thought it was cold there until I moved to Toledo, right next to the lake. It's cold. It is cold. So just be prepared for that. Now, with the skies clearing and winds calming down, right now, though, we are looking at a pretty frigid night ahead of us. So let's talk about tomorrow, though. So overnight lows are going to be downright brutal. 23 degrees expected in Rio Grande City tonight, 28 in McAllen, Harlingen, and 31 in Brownsville. But by 10 a.m., we should warm up to the 40s tomorrow. And by afternoon, we should hit by the 50s with some sunshine finally returning. That's good news. But like I said, same thing again Thursday and most likely on Friday. We're going to see it heat up to the 70s. More to come on that tomorrow. But again, looking ahead to Thursday, at least, there is a small chance of an isolated shower, but those temperatures will hopefully stay in the 50s. So 50s by Wednesday and Thursday, and then hopefully 70s heading into the weekend after that. So here's the bottom line tonight. Again, the 4 Ps. People, pets, plants, and pipes. And by tomorrow afternoon, we'll warm up enough that you can rip up anything you have outside on the pipes. You can take things down off the plants. I know we've got like bags around our plants, stuff like that, to try and keep them safe. And we'll bring in all those heat lamps that some of y'all might have seen me talking about yesterday on TikTok. So either way, hang in there. We got a cold night ahead. And if you haven't heard yet, I mentioned it earlier, there were a lot of power outages across the valley, right? That's everyone's big concern after the winter freeze a couple years ago, Winter Storm Uri. So let's talk about what happened, and let's start with what we saw from ERCOT today. Now, they are the folks who manage the Texas power grid. You may remember them from the winter freeze. Everyone was not happy with them, but early this morning around 5 a.m., they declared a transmission emergency for parts of South and Southeast Texas. Now, the problem was freezing precipitation. Basically, ice was causing issues with power transmission lines. And when that happens, it can make it harder to move electricity where it's needed, which could lead to outages or the need to reduce power use. Good news is, by earlier this afternoon, ERCOT canceled that emergency. That means whatever issues they were dealing with had been resolved and the grid is back to normal operations. So here at home, let's talk about what happened. If we were unsure if that was part of the nearly 20,000 people that lost power overnight and into today. But at one point, late last night, early this morning, more than 18,000 customers were without electricity, with the hardest hit areas in Hidalgo County, where there were nearly 14,000 outages reported. So Magic Valley Electric Cooperative reported nearly 4,900 outages in Hidalgo County, 642 in Cameron, and Willacy and Starr counties didn't see any major issues on their end. AEP had around 4,700 outages in Hidalgo, 723 in Cameron, and fewer than 5 in Willacy, 10 in Starr County. So some of the biggest outages that happened last night were in Palmview, where about 4,200 customers alone were affected. And also in the Rio Grande City area, where around 2,000 customers were left in the dark. Now, it's important to remember, yes, that's 6,200 customers, right? But that's just not 6,200 people. It could be a lot more people than that. You have to consider that. Some of those could have been businesses that had employees. So there was a lot of folks, more than just the 18,000 customers that were impacted by this power outage. But again, the good news is a lot of folks have had their power restored since those outages. Some areas have been dealing with on and off issues throughout the valley, but crews have been working around the clock. No clear timeline yet for when everything will be back to normal, especially with that cold tonight. So let's talk about what you can do to prepare in case you lose power tonight. So, and this is good for anything, right? It doesn't matter if it's a winter freeze, a summer, heat wave, just the grid acting up for whatever reason. Being prepared is important. So let's kind of break some things down. So first up is keeping warm, right? We don't turn the heat on down here in the valley, and some folks realize that their HVAC system isn't working as expected because this is the first time they're turning it on for the year. So if it's cold outside and the power's out, it's really tempting to get creative, right? To turn on bring in a gas or an electric grill, or even a gas grill or a chimenea or whatever it is to stay warm. But don't use gas stoves. Don't use ovens for heat. It might seem like a good idea, but you can fill your home with carbon monoxide. It's an invisible gas You can't smell it, you can't taste it, you can't see it, but it will see you, it will get you, and it will kill you. It is super, super dangerous. So don't do that. No space heaters with extension cords because they can overload circuits and cause fires. And that's the last thing you need to do during an outage, is then cause a fire, right? Also, don't fall asleep with them on. Don't leave them unattended. Keep them on a firm, flat surface. And don't put it next to you in the bed, because what happens when your blankets catch fire? Just be careful. And speaking of things catching fire, like your blankets, no candles. If you're going to use candles, they are only good as a light source. You can't use a candle to stay warm. It's not economical. It's just not enough power to stay warm anyway, and all you're doing is potentially causing a fire hazard. So not for safety. If you don't have a flashlight and all you have is a candle, remember, you're only using it to complete the task that you're trying to complete. You don't need to leave it on, the entire night. So just be smart about where you're using and how you're using your candles. So what should you do to stay warm? Well, you can get your whole household in one room, close the doors, and bundle up, right? Hang blankets over any windows, keep the heat in, maybe roll a towel and put it at the crack of the bottom of the door, things like that, to keep any heat from flowing out. You can also layer up, right? Thermal underwear if you need it, sweaters, lots of blankets, get those cobijas out, those things help trap heat, right? You could even do a pillow fort type thing, right? You know how igloos work? Yeah, it's ice, but the way it traps heat inside, that's how they stay warm inside in an igloo. Same concept. You can get some pillows and put some blankets over it so you can have a little space to move around so you're not like 10 blankets deep on the bed, unless you're into that. I love having the heavy blanket over me. Makes me sleep nice. And use some other safe heating methods. Battery powered heating blankets, hand warmers, those little hand warmer, hot warmer packs. You can use some of those. Stick them in your shoes, in between your socks, whatever it may be. Food and water when the power's out. Your fridge and freezer can only hold up so long. Luckily, it's cold outside, so if it really came down to it, you could probably put some stuff outside. Not the best solution, but it would help. But what does help is keeping the fridge closed. Your fridge will stay cold for about 4 hours if you don't open it that much. And your freezer, if it's packed full, it'll stay open to 48 hours and 24 hours if it's half full. We actually ran into this problem last week. And speaking of which, some of you may know my son, he's 6 months old. He just turned 6 months on Friday. And so we have breast milk frozen, and it's not easy to get, right? So you want to take care of it. So it's a big deal. So if the power's out for a while, you can use some insulated bags with frozen gel packs to keep my milk cold. I know we have this little like travel zipper bag, and I mean, that thing, it'll freeze milk sometimes. It's so cold, but you could do that. Maybe if you have a nice cooler, Dad's, if you got the Yeti sitting out in the garage, now's the time to bring it in, throw some ice packs in there, and throw that milk in there for the little one. If it does start to thaw, and this is a really interesting thing that my wife and I learned about in the last couple months, if your breast milk starts to thaw, but you still see ice crystals inside, then you can still refreeze it. As long as there is a single ice crystal in there, you can throw that bad boy back in the freezer and freeze it up. But if there are no ice crystals left, you have to use that milk within 24 hours. It's very important, especially with the young infants, that you're, taking safety precautions when it comes to handling their food. So just be careful about that. Now, what about water? If your pipes freeze, if your water pressure drops, you're going to need a backup plan. So fill up your bathtubs and sinks with water. You can use that to flush toilets, to wash your hands, if you can. I'm not saying go crazy, but just, make sure you have some bottled water laying around, because anything that happens wouldn't last for more than, half a day, hopefully, but just make sure you have some water just in case. Boil water if needed, right? So just keep an eye out for any notes that may come down from, your cities, your water distributors, whoever you have, for that kind of business, if you need to boil any water, in case any major water lines break, outside of your home. And just a few more tips. I've right now got everything charging up. I've got phones, or power banks, tablets. I've got my lantern, some flashlights, my AM, FM radio. Got that charging up, all kinds of stuff. So if you can, make sure to do that and make sure you're good to go. So when the sun goes down, you do have something in case the power goes out. Have a flashlight for every room if you can. If you don't have one in every room, make sure everyone knows how to easily get to it, because you don't want to be fumbling around in the dark and there's nothing worse than stubbing your toe in the dark. I promise you. You will say words you have never said before. Ask me how I know. And cash is king. So if you haven't gotten a chance, if ATMs go down for some reason, like in the morning and you need to get gas or something, maybe stop by your bank if you can today and get some cash out. That way you are ready to go. And most importantly is, stay informed. Follow trusted sources like me for updates and official info. As some of you may know, I've been keeping you guys up to date on things like school closures, which I have a full list of school closures, warming centers, things that you need to know as parents, things that you may need to know to help someone in your neighborhood out. That's all on my website, rudymireles.com. So check that out. If for some reason, a bunch of stuff changes between now and tomorrow morning and there's school cancellations, delays, closures, I'm going to put everything there. I've been updating it every 6 to 8 hours since I started that page for y'all. So make sure to check it out, rudymireles.com. And I just want to talk about this stuff because if we can make some fewer headaches for everybody tonight, if the lights go out or if it gets super cold again, if few less headaches for y'all, then it's made this worth it. So stay safe, stay warm, and take care of each other tonight. As always, Border to Border Live is brought to you by Gelman Vision. From LASIK to cataracts, board-certified cornea specialist Dr. Rachel Gelman will help you change the way you see the world. Call 956-302-1015 or visit gelmanvision.com to schedule a consultation today. And are you looking to buy or sell property in the Rio Grande Valley? Well, at Rio Realty, we bring local experience and personalized service to every deal. Let me help you find your dream home or get the most value out of yours. Call me today, 956-230-7733, or visit rudymireles.com to get a hold of me. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, stay warm, and be good out there. Say bye, Hannah. Hannah says bye.